Stop asking what the rate is. Ask this instead. All right, I want to talk about something that comes up in almost every conversation I have right now. The first question people ask me is still the same. Do you know what it is? What's the rate? And look, rates matter. I'm not pretending they don't. There's no reason to pretend they don't. But the reality is, I don't see rates dropping anytime soon. I've been saying this for the last 4 years. Not meaningfully, not back to the threes, probably not even to the fours for a while. So if that's the case, the real question becomes, what are people actually doing while they wait? So waiting versus reality, right? Because when someone tells me they're waiting, I always want to ask, waiting to do what? What are you waiting? Waiting for what? What's the wait? Most of the time, the answer is simple. They're renting. And the average rent I see right now is anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 a month. Let's use the median number. Let's just say $2,500 a month. That's $30,000 a year. Say it again, $30,000 a year. And I want to be clear, that's not theoretical money. That's gone. No equity, no appreciation, no tax benefit, just paid. And think about it like this. I want you to paint the picture right now. Let's stretch it out, okay? Because renters typically rent for a long time. So let's just say if your rent is $2,500 a month, in 3 years, that's $90,000. 5 years, $150,000. Waiting isn't neutral. Waiting is a financial decision, okay? And these are things that come up all the time. You got to start looking at the basket. The most successful people in this country and across the world have real estate. It's the number one thing. The number one thing that they have is real estate and assets that appreciate. Now, with homes, they could go up and down, but if you look at the long-term trend, they never just drop, okay? They typically go up, a little bit down, up, a little bit down, and it dictates by the market, okay? And I already know what people say next. They'll say, yeah, but mortgages are mostly interest at the beginning. You're right. They've always been that way ever since existence. That's not new. That's how the banks make money. That's how amortizations has worked forever. But here's the difference. Even early on, a mortgage does things rent never will. Some of your payment goes towards the principal. Your home can appreciate over time, like I just said, and you're controlling an asset instead of paying someone else's mortgage. Okay? The smart people out there that have a bunch of real estate, they rent out their properties, and then the debt service coverage ratio covers it. So now they have an asset that's being paid for by someone like you if you're a renter. Rent does none of that. So let's talk about the market shift, and this is the pivot here, okay? And there's something most people aren't paying attention to, and this is a buyer's market. So what's a buyer's market? Well, inventory is up. We have lots of inventory. I know some places in the country it's very tight and there's not as much inventory, but generally overall, inventory is up. Homes are sitting longer in the market. Sellers are negotiating again. Okay, so go back to when interest rates were really low, 2, 3%, even 4%. Sellers were the ones negotiating like crazy deals over ask, all this other stuff. Where right now you are in power as a renter or as a homeowner again in the market, whether it's a primary, second home, or investment property, to be able to leverage certain things. This matters because buyers finally have that leverage. And one of the biggest tools buyers have right now is what they call seller concessions. So what's a seller concession? The seller is able to contribute a certain percentage, depending on the program and how much you put down, towards a transaction. You could use that for your closing costs. You could use that for rate buy downs. You could use it for a temporary rate buy down. There's a lot of things you could use it for. I'll give you real numbers. Out of like, I don't know, every year I've done over 100 loans. Okay, so this year we already broke that. So I'll give you real numbers. Out of 100 loans I've done this year, more than 80% have included seller concessions. Okay, that's not hype. That's what it's actually happening right now on the deals and in the market. Where if you go back to COVID, I think maybe like 20% were having seller concessions. So that's a big shift. Okay? So let's give you a scenario. Let's just say, and listen, these are just generic rates. A lot of things matter based on your credit score, loan to value, all those different things. But let's just take equal playing numbers on an FHA loan. So let's say you're buying a $450,000 home using an FHA loan. At today's market rate, maybe the rate is 6%. Now, because it's a buyer's market, we negotiate seller concessions and use those credits to buy the rate down to, let's say, 5%. Okay? Same house, same loan, different approach. Here's what that actually looks like so you could paint the picture. At 6%, your principal and interest payment is roughly $2,430 a month. That's not including taxes or insurance or the PMI. At 5%, using the seller contributions, and not all of them, but let's just say, a portion of them, at 5%, that payment drops to about $2,150 a month. That roughly saves you $280 per month in savings. So let's make the savings real. Let it hit. Now don't rush past that. That's over $3,300 a year. And here's the key. The seller paid for that buy down, not you. Again, the seller paid for the buy down, not you. And I'm seeing this all the time. I'm getting all these seller credits. I'm like, let's use a little bit for the closing costs. Let's use a little bit for the rate buy down. Let's mix and match it. Let's have fun with it. It's not our money. It's their money, which is great for you. So instead of waiting years for rates to drop, which who even knows at this point when that's going to happen, buyers are lowering their payments right now using the market in front of them. Okay. So let's talk about taxes for a second. You don't buy a house just for tax write-offs, but let's not pretend they don't exist. You write off the mortgage interest, the property taxes, depending on your income situation, those things matter. Renting has no tax strategy at all. You can't write off anything if you're renting a home, right? Home ownership at least gives you options. So let's tie this all together. This is why rate obsession misses the point. People think a lower rate automatically equals a better decision. But let me ask you this. If you buy now and rates drop later, what happens? You refinance. I tell the story all the time. I have never bought a home at a good rate. Okay, I buy a house because it meets the needs for my family and for myself, and we make it happen. Okay, just like a car. All right. Everyone has a payment stuck in their head, but if you really love the car, then you could justify the payment. Same thing for a house. If you really love the house and it meets all your criteria, you could justify the payment, and we're going to make sure it works because we have thresholds that we have to follow in order to make it work. Then buy the house. Then when the time comes, it could be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, whenever it might be, and a refinance opportunity pops up, then we could refinance you and get you down to that rate, and you can start saving money. Or the smart people, they will actually keep paying the same payment as before and pay off the house faster, because interest over time is very, very expensive. And people don't realize that total interest paid on a house is astronomical for what you're actually paying for a house. So that's why a lot more people right now are doing 15-year mortgages, 20-year mortgages, etc., because they're starting to realize that extending a loan out doesn't really have its benefits. But if you wait for rates to drop, you just paid rent the entire time. One option gives you flexibility. The other gives you nothing back. So those are things you got to think of, all right? So the real question, the better question isn't what's the rate. The better question is what leverage do I have right now and how do I use it? Because the buyers winning today aren't predicting the market. They're using it. They're using it for them. I help so many buyers every single month, every single day. I help people from different countries. I help people relocate. I help people open their mind to opportunities because I've lived it for myself. Okay. So if you're renting at $2,500 a month, you're already making a housing payment. You're just making it for somebody else. And the goal has never been timing the market. It's time in the market. Okay. So think about that. Stop making payments for somebody else. And your goal should be is to never time the market. It's the time in the market. And if you want to look at real numbers for your situation, seller concessions, buy downs, FHA, conventional, DSCR, bank statement loans, non-QM loans, whatever it is, I do them. Reach out to me. Let's talk about these things. Let's get you ready. All right. The only people I know that are stuck right now are the ones that want to refinance, but we're waiting for the right mark, which will be my next episode, and how I figure out when's the best time to refinance and what rate do we need to be at for it to make sense. So I'm here for that too. So I'll give you a free consultation, no pressure, just real strategy, because waiting isn't free. It's super expensive. So hopefully this makes sense to you out there. And if you are a renter or know somebody who's a renter who maybe has great income, good credit, just hasn't been down the path of home ownership, that's where I come into play. And I want to be able to help them achieve this and achieve these goals. And I'll tell you, a lot of the younger crowd are buying homes, but they're buying homes smart. They're buying duplexes, triplexes, living on one side for a year, getting rental income to help offset their mortgage, and then they could go buy their dream house. And then now they have 1, 2, 3, 4 rental incomes coming in. That's how you do it, guys. That's how you do it. Remember, I'll help you analyze the market versus buying investment property. What's your return on investment? If you're looking to get out of renting, let's look at those numbers. Let's get you a return on your investment. That's the moral of the story here. Waiting isn't free. It's expensive. And let me and my team, Anchor Home Loans LLC, Iron Gate Lending LLC for Texas and Tennessee, because we're licensed in Florida, Georgia, Texas, and Tennessee now. We want to help you, so make sure you reach out. And thanks for listening. I'll catch you later this week for a fun episode on the mark, we're going to call it, which is for refinancing and what that mark needs to be for it to be profitable for you and a good long-term investment for you. Thank you so much, and we'll talk soon.